Spontaneous salutations, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Are You Saurious? Folks, we are here with episode number 9 already. This is kind of exciting. I can't believe that we've gotten this far. It feels like we've gone on a big journey, both me and all of you who are watching. So if you've been here since the beginning, thank you once again for coming on back. And if you're new, welcome. Stay a while. Make yourself comfortable. We're here to have some fun and have a lot of laughs because that's what we do here at Are You Saurious? I have a very, very special guest and a friend that is joining me for today's episode. He is incredibly talented, and I am honored to be able to have him join me for today's episode. Chris Woodworth, introduce yourself to the lovely viewers.
Hello, I am Chris Woodworth. I am from the UK. I'm a voice actor and a general bona fide nutcase. I specialize in voicing for animation, video games. I do corporate narration. I do quite a lot of dubbing and all of that good stuff, and a lot of content creation and networking. And that's me in a nutshell, basically.
Some people I've heard through the grapevine that you have been hailed as a Swiss Army knife of voiceover. Is that true?
Oh, yes.
Because
yes,
if that is, then that is such a cool nickname to have.
Yeah, it's quite funny how that came across because there was a certain voice actor, Topher Engo, who his voice actually was about to appear on the release of the Pixar movie Turning Red, and he was going to be like in an interview with voice masters who I studied under, and so it was great because there was going to be a Q&A at the end, and it happened to be on the day of like the premiere and everything, and there was going to be a release on Disney Plus, and so he was talking about his journey and I remember that when I was going up onto the digital stage, so to speak, just to ask him a question about how his social media influence and everything. Yeah, a friend of mine gave me a nudge and said, "Hey, you should ask him to collaborate with you on one of your videos. Do like a dubbing thing, because I do a lot of dubbing videos." And I brought that to him. He said, "Bro, I am so down." And we did that, and when he heard my recording for it, because we did a scene from the Pixar movie, the Disney movie, Turning Red. No, what am I saying? The Disney movie, Big Hero 6. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yes.
Yeah, we decided to play the two brothers and create that brotherly bond, even though we're recording this separately. And he heard my take first, like all the way through. I was like the big bro, Tadashi, I think it is. And he then came back to me with a comment, said, "Bro, you are like a Swiss Army knife of voiceover." And that was like the most unique compliment I've had. It was very unique. It stuck with me, and I ended up using that on my website. I put that on my website under quotes because I was in the process of constructing my website, and eventually that just became one of my tagline. Well, a tagline that I even have on my LinkedIn and places like that. And so I have him to thank for that. It's truly wonderful of him.
What an incredible opportunity. And also, it's again, one of the coolest taglines that you could possibly have, to be like, "Hi, I'm Chris Woodworth. I'm the Swiss Army knife of voiceover." You may have heard of me. It's like immediately anyone who would hear that would be like, "Whoa, this guy is the real deal." And they would be right.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, it's because I really pride myself in not just having like a wide vocal dexterity, but an emotional range as well. And so it's just fun combining it, and it's a nice challenge combining it as well. It's dexterity on both parts, and that's something I am constantly playing around with, and I build a reputation on, and yeah. It's fun.
Obviously, you have said you've every time I see one of your videos pop up on any of my pages across all of my socials, because I follow you pretty much everywhere across social media. It you never fail to make
Oh, sorry.
you never fail to make my day with the content that you do. You're just constantly going at it. You're putting out new content very frequently, and I love that. And your ability to really encapsulate characters from a wide range of genres and media is incredible. And it's even more amazing, and I'll get into one of those questions in my list that I have for you. When
Hey.
you do a lot of scene work with a lot of fellow voice actors, whether they be students or other people who are professionals, you, the two of you, whoever it may be, just breathe new life into any scene that you lay your hands on.
Mm.
And it really transports me to this other world and lets me see this whole world and the story through other characters' eyes and their shoes for a little while. It's
Mm.
absolutely incredible.
That means a lot. It really does mean a lot that you say that, that you share that you feel that when you do see that, because I am usually very particular with who I work with. I try and work with genuinely good people, not just talented voice actors, but good people, that are a pleasure to work with, and who are really passionate about this, and it's a wonderful thing just collaborating with somebody that even though you are recording your parts separately, it's just bringing the elements together. And my focus in that scene just trying to create a feeling. And even though we are dubbing a scene from something that's already been done, a classic movie or a TV show or something like that, we're still bringing ourselves to it. We're practicing dubbing. And so if I'm able to use those different elements, not just our voices, but sound effects and music, just to create a feeling, make the listener feel something. That is gold to me because that's my ultimate aim in voiceover, to make you feel a certain way. You need to reach the audience, and I've had lots of incredible experiences, with this, with other people. I've made very close friends through this. I've learned so much, and yeah, it's because I do have to say it's one thing just kind of getting into a character's rhythm that you're dubbing. You're seeing their lip flaps, or movements on the screen, and you're doing things in time. But then it's another thing to then bring in the emotional nuances at the same time and give them depth and meaning and everything. It takes quite a while to learn that and adapt to that, and it feels like it's something I am forever working on. And I just love this so much.
it's I remember this actor who he had done an interview, and he's been in a couple shows that I've watched, and I found out about him many years ago. On He used to do YouTube as well, and when he was in an interview, he explained to the person that was conducting the interview. He said, "What I learned is that voice acting is so much more difficult than regular acting, because when you're on stage and you're performing live in front of people, you have your entire body and your body language and your facial expressions that people can see and they can take in, and it really helps feed into the scene and the character that they've crafted. Meanwhile, when it's voiceover, it's just your voice, but not just your voice as in you're just talking lines of dialogue like I'm reading a script right now in front of a microphone. It's You have to have that same energy and intensity and make it all translate through the voice and the voice alone. And
Yeah.
I just found I found it such a cool. He described it so nicely, and
Mm.
I felt that in the way that he described it, it would be universally understood by anybody to be like, oh, I never really considered that before.
Mm. Yeah, it's very true because we don't have the luxury of having people read our facial expressions and see us and then know what we're feeling through that. It's just translating that, just communicating all of that through the voice and just having those transitions, those mood changes, and we at times just, well, a lot, we have to be physical, like behind the microphone. And yeah, even through this interview, those of you who are seeing us right now, you see my arms kind of like this. And this is how I've gotten through the process. Um, yeah, because if I just kind of sit like this and I'm actually just recording dialogue like this, then it's a little bit stunted. But yeah, start to use my whole body just a bit more. Yeah, you feel it.
I actually, if, when I first started off myself doing voice acting, and I'm still learning as you are too, Chris. But I'm at a stage where I'm still transitioning out of the worry of being too expressive, I like Jim Carrey esque, over the top kind of movements behind the microphone, just
Mm,
because I don't want it to be like too crazy and too full of energy that I overwhelm people. But
mm,
at the same time, I need to remind myself that sure, it is okay. That like controlling myself and holding it back doesn't mean not doing anything at all and minimizing it, because that just doesn't give enough. That I
mm.
have to remind myself that it is okay to have a little bit of fun while I'm talking behind a microphone, or else
Yeah.
I might go crazy when I'm in the booth for too long.
Mm. Yeah. Oh, I totally hear you. Well, hopefully, I'm going to share something with you, and hopefully this will make you feel better. It was probably last week. I was part of a 5-day challenge with uh, yeah, two people who were leading this group of voice actors, and it was a free thing. And one's a very big voice actor, and he's very busy these days, very successful. He has like lots of wisdom and nuggets of information, guidance to give us, and so we were meeting up each day at the same time for an hour. We had like a little task to do or something to post, and I remember one of the tasks. I think it was like on a Wednesday or Tuesday, something like that. He gave us this audition to do. It was almost like advertising. I think like a special hotel or resort or something like that. And I remember what I actually delivered because it described it as being quite, kind of a bit of a sense of humor there and everything. And um, I I found that I kind of went off the mark a little bit, because it was like one little line after the other, and so I was just basically, yeah, with each one talking like this and doing this and doing this, in that sort of way, like that, and just like really loud, like full of energy, like that, and yeah, and then I actually kind of put it on the system like early, and he got back to me and he says, "Really love your energy, but I think it is really overshadowing, like the video itself and everything. It's supposed to be more seamless. It's supposed to blend well with it, and so maybe just a little bit more energy. I'd like to hear another take of you just bringing it down like that." And so I gave him two takes. They were very different, where it was uh, yeah, it was just basically me just being more understated and speaking like this. It was warm and not too much, and it had a little bit of humor, something like that, And then I did like take two, where I kind of changed the accent, just a little bit, and yeah, just had it warm still, and kind of more general American, and that's how it came out. Yeah, like that. And so his response was that he was really surprised at how quick I turned it around and gave it back to him. And then when we discussed it, because he had like just some really positive notes to give me because he said this is more in the realm of what we would be after for that. We discussed it, and we actually all agreed that it was easier, well, better for me to go too far and then have them bring me back because it's so difficult for a director or producer or teacher, anybody, to really get you there if they need you to have more energy. It's like, no, you can really get there. Go on, again. And it's like, oh, come on, again, come on, more, louder, come on, puff from your chest. That's harder. Yeah, but at least you can be brought back. So I wouldn't worry too much about it, because that's something that, you can learn over time. And you've got it in you. Yeah.
Too true. And to quickly piggyback off of that is I'm sure if I'm sure you have heard before as well, if you've done any kind of live theater or anyone who's watching who's done live theater, I've learned over many years of doing acting since I was 8 or 9 years old. I've been told by many directors, they're like, listen, I would rather you give me way too much of something so that way we can pull you back down rather than you not give me anything because we can't really, where are we supposed to go from there? So it totally reminded me of that little nugget of advice that I've heard many a times over the years.
Yeah, there you go. With theatre, you really do need to project. Yeah, it is like a different kettle of fish altogether, isn't it? Because I think last time I was in theatre was probably in college, but I still remember, just how bigger I needed to be with it. Yeah, so
and to project to the back of the room, all the time, all the time.
Oh dear. No, I still remember the time when somebody asked me, out of curiosity, has anybody in this space actually had any theatre training? And for some reason, I just kind of went like, my dear fellow, the theatre is my home. But honestly, it's it kind of harpers back to the theatre days. It just brought back memories. And the Salesman, Antigone, different things like that. A Greek tragedy at some point. Yeah.
the classics of theater.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, for some reason, it's brought up like a crazy memory. Every time I think of this, even though it was back in college, it still makes me laugh. There was a guy who was usually in every single play or comedy act or something. He was just a naturally funny guy. You knew that he was either going to carry on doing theatre when he got out of school, or he's going to be on TV or something like that, going to carry on with acting. And he was he played a character in it that at some point in this Greek tragedy he dies. So he's just now a body that that at some point. In a dramatic way, someone's crying and two people actually have to come pick him up and carry him, like off stage, in a mournful way. And when we were doing like the rehearsal, but this was like one of the last rehearsals, the time when the director is usually very stressed out, like wanting things to work, wants people to be on it, like that.
We're just kind of the middle
pausing.
of Hell Week.
Oh,
the middle
yes,
of Hell Week. Hell Week, yeah.
Yes, that's a good way to describe it. The Hell Week. Yeah, it's just that we had to kind of pause, a certain moment, like just before that, the pickup and walk off, and we were just taking notes, and adjusting certain things. And then that guy who plays that body, he literally said, hey, can you imagine, like, if he died in a very unfortunate way? And then for some reason, he literally just lifted up his arms and his legs in, like, a really crooked way, like his body was mangled. And he just had his mouth, like, wide open, his eyes really wide open, kind of like he was in shock. And he was just frozen like that. He just went... like that, and we just found it funny just for a moment, but then he just stayed like that, and then the director just kind of yelled, okay, and go, like that, and then he actually kind of picked him up and started carrying him off, and he just stayed like that. like that.
I
It's
I
like,
com- I commend his ability to be able to hold that position and that facial expression for that long because how do you not blink? How do you not like? I'm kind of baffled, but I really wish I could have been there to see that in person because
Spencer, we were crying, and it only tipped off the director more.
take it
Really did.
seriously. We have a show tomorrow night. It's like we're tired too. We're trying to bring some levity to the week.
Oh my goodness, it's like when you know you're not supposed to laugh in church or something like that. It's,
Yes.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Oftentimes, though. Yeah.
I guess a good way to segue into that, since we've been talking about how you did classical theater, as we'll call it, a live theater, being on stage,
Mhm.
how did you find that pivot, and what inspired you to pursue voice acting professionally? To be like, this is something that I want to do full time, and make a living off of, and learn about it, and explore all of what I'm capable of doing, and how did it evolve from there?
Well, theatre was only something I did back in college. I guess that was the only real opportunity I had to explore acting. It was something I was quite curious about, something quite I was quite interested in, and so after I went through college and yeah, I got the a few plays out of my system in college. Um, I I unexpectedly got to experience bits of acting at university because I went on to study animation as well. And animators are
Cool.
basically like actors, but with a pencil or a computer, like that. Because
Yes.
we're bringing life, to these characters. We're creating the illusion of life. That's what animation is. And so, yeah, I I was studying in Wrexham, right next to the stadium that Ryan Reynolds is usually nowadays.
Hmm.
In Wales, he has the football team, um, and I found myself being that kind of animator who filmed himself for reference. I was filming myself acting out what I wanted the characters to do. Yeah, what I was about to animate, and and basically with a couple of short films I was making, uh, I did become fascinated with voice acting. All of the things that goes into like a short movie or an animated movie, and I started using my voice. For a couple of things because I was growing up just already doing voices, doing impressions for fun. I think there were a couple of other people's projects I did voices for, even when I did my masters. But at university, I got to be in a couple of short films for the TV and film students. So they were like literally doing shoots and everything. And one time it was quite scary for me, but quite enthralling, where I was actually asked to play the main character in a short film, and it was more of a thriller. So that was
Ooh.
where I started to flex my acting chops more and be that intimidating character. Um, it's clearly like me, but the director really felt like I could do it.
So you are one of the most intimidating guys I've ever met. It's like my knees have been shaking the entire time we've been. I
There
kid.
you
I
go.
kid. I
There
kid.
you go. See, there's something I didn't know about myself. Well, yeah, I'm gonna
I'll add that
play
to my list of talents that I have.
it. Love it. Yeah. Yeah, that whole thing was an experience as well because I always felt like I wasn't good at playing those kind of characters, but I did with this one with the help of the director and started flexing the acting chops more. But I think it was only like many years later, after like quite a lengthy career in animation, that COVID hit, and like lots of voice actors, they were kind of created during COVID, during lockdown. Just technology just really improved. Um, So people were creating remote studios. Um, I I was actually already starting to do social media content. I was discovering TikTok, and I was already doing like little comedy skits here and there, random magic tricks and things like that. But then it turned out, well, shifted into doing impressions, and yeah, just social media content based on the different voices I do. The characters I impersonate, how to do Donald Duck, things like that. Oh,
I
Mickey Mouse and whoop boy, all of that. um, and yeah, that's where the voice acting classes started, right after acting courses, and the rest is history.
and here we are. Here we are today.
Yeah, yeah, here we are today.
I
It's a crazy ride.
I'll say, but I've no doubt it has been very rewarding and very fulfilling all the same. That all the ups and
Yeah.
downs, the roller coaster of a ride that it can be sometimes.
Mm,
You can look back in all the experiences that you've had, good and bad, and be like, I'm proud of myself and how far I've come. Because
absolutely.
you've done a lot, Chris.
Mm.
You've done a lot.
Ah, thank you. It's you know what? You need to celebrate. I think voice actors, we have to get into the habit of celebrating the little things, the really small, minute wins. No matter how small it feels to us, because it is very hard. I'm not gonna lie, it's very difficult. You're gonna have a lot of downs, when you go through, when you get into voiceover. You have to kind of not just face a lot of uh, rejection, but at times, lack of confidence. You have to kind of battle the imposter syndrome, things
Hmm.
like that, and then the people who then use social media to market themselves, which is a very effective way. Then they have to deal with, people who then try to bring them down because they are bored, so-called trolls, things like that. So they have to navigate the way through that. But it's all about working on yourself and accepting yourself and owning it, really.
I love that.
Mm.
I love that. Because I think a lot of times, obviously, little stuff gets easily overlooked, and sometimes we may hold ourselves to really high expectations and only feel that we can celebrate and be proud of accomplishments when it's like we've made the big time and we're making a lots of money, but it's gotta keep cheering ourselves on every time, not just for the big times. Like we need to be happy for ourselves for the little things, as you said, that we accomplish, not just the grandiose, highly recognized and acclaimed things.
Absolutely. Yeah, and also, aside from just cheering ourselves on and celebrating the little wins, I am a true believer in supporting your fellow voice actor and other people in this industry. Um, I'm sure you definitely agree that it is a very supportive community of each other. Very occasionally, you do come across the odd person who maybe takes a moment to rain on your parade a little bit, but for the most part, yeah, people are very quick to cheer each other on. Yeah, support each other in different ways. Sorry, I just had a daddy long leg come into my boot for some reason.
Oh no.
Yeah, my partner would have freaked out to know that. It's like, go away!
I do want to ask, because you were talking about before how you have courses of your own, and some of them I have taken in the past, so
Mm,
I can vouch for how how much I've learned and just the amount of fun and the freedom to be myself and to explore and to not shy away from things, to give it a chance and believe in myself. And all others can expect this from your courses as well. Tell us, you because you run courses such as social media for voice actors, you have impression workshops, you have voice acting study videos. Can
mm,
you tell those who are unfamiliar with your channel and your content, a little bit about what those are, what they entail, and what you as the teacher hope for students to take away from those lessons.
Okay, well, the voice acting study videos, first of all, they are mixed. They are basically videos that involve myself and another voice actor dubbing a scene from a movie or a TV show. But it's basically a screen that splits three ways, where you see the movie at the top, and at the bottom, in two separate panels, you see myself and the voice actor, the other voice actor, in their booths. Yeah, we're in our booths, and you see, in a way, it's like a fly on the wall, behind the scenes, us actually acting at the microphone, bringing the voice, and it's such a wonderful insight as well for people to see us getting physical like that. So the voice acting study videos workshop teaches you step by step how I create one of these now. The fact that I don't use the original audio and how I actually go about that. Um, and in addition, it teaches you other things like actually how to find somebody to work with, how to actually work effectively with them, how to pick the right person, for you to work with, and in addition, dubbing techniques, getting into character. Over time, I actually built up dubbing techniques. The more of these I did, and I've done so many by myself and with other people, and I've adapted a way of tapping into a character's rhythm, to get the timing and everything, and get the feeling, and so I really go into detail about that, the tricks of the trade with that. I take you through the editing process, not just the filming process, but the editing process, how to actually piece it together, and I demonstrate it really quickly as well. How to direct the other person and all of that. This voice acting study videos workshop, that's a mouthful, is actually a downloadable workshop, so you can learn it at your own pace. I have actually recently revamped it when different students have bought it, and they've actually created their own as a result. But there was one student, a new student, who who actually did give me very helpful feedback, because when he bought it, because he saw originally there were different files in there, he said, is there a certain order? Is there a way of getting like just one video that keeps everything together, like that? So I literally just opened up a Zoom meeting just for myself. I hit record, and I just took like a step-by-step approach, talking, about it and demonstrating. So now you only have two files in there: a video file of me telling you, teaching you like one-to-one how it goes step by step, and showing you, sharing the screen and everything, showing how the whole thing started right to the end, and also a PDF of the resources that I use for it. So there's that, but also there's the impressions workshop that you did, and you did fantastic in.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's because I know that you can do like a voice acting study videos workshop with me one-to-one if you want, like over Zoom, but with the impressions, that's like you can do that one-to-one as well, but you can do a group session as well. You can be part of a group session. I usually do these every couple of months, and even though, and I have to make it clear, you're not really bound to be a good impressionist, to be a voice actor. You don't have to be able to be amazing at impressions to be a voice actor. Because some of the best voice actors can't do impressions or can't do accents, but they can be real, they can be genuine. But the impressions workshop, it's an extra string to your bow. It is a fun way of really replicating voice, and you find that once you actually tap into this, you find, wow, I can actually do that accent if I harness this actor or harness that character. Or hey, I didn't know I could reach that pitch, that sort of thing. And it's fun to build up your repertoire. And sometimes, you may get sent auditions from your agent, if you have one, for sound-alike roles. And that happens. So there's that. There's a social media workshop. That's my most intensive one. I do that individually and also group sessions every couple of months. That goes into great detail about marketing yourself as a voice actor on social media, not necessarily to go viral, to be TikTok famous or anything like that. It's a way to get people to see what you can do, to make yourself easier to be found, and to connect with even not just agencies and other voice actors, but casting directors. How to create a positive reputation as well. How to get the same people coming back. How to actually even create the opportunities for yourself. Because one of the things I've actually found has happened as a result of social media marketing, I have actually done voice acting jobs that have landed without having to even audition. I've even had at times one or two where clients reach out to me for a voiceover job because they came across me on social media. So yeah, it's but the last thing I will say in terms of workshops, I've actually started something kind of on the down low. I haven't advertised it on my social media platform. It's like it's like you heard it here first, Spencer Long.
We're getting the inside scoop on the podcast today.
Yes. So it's called Authentic Voice. Yeah. So I had a student from my social media workshop who. He's done the impressions one as well. He reached out to me and he asked me about 3 times on different occasions if I would consider doing a workshop to help him do character reads, but to stick to his natural voice but still be believable. Because he admitted to me on a number of occasions that's what he struggles with. Every time he does an audition for a character, he always seems to revert to changing his accent or the tone, of his voice, so he sounds like somebody else, and that's when he suddenly gets the most expressive. But when he starts to use his natural voice, it doesn't land, and he kind of struggles sticking to his natural voice. And so he's currently doing a block of 4 sessions with me. And the very first one, I believe, was last night actually. Yeah, yeah, and so he's getting a lot out of it. So it's not one of those kind of workshops where I'm just going to let that person off the hook, like very easily. We're going to work hard with very constructive and supportive and everything. But it is just about finding those nuances, and if you kind of find yourself slipping into a character voice, and I've done that in the past, then it's just a matter of bringing yourself back, how to put yourself into the character. So you can use your natural voice for the characters it calls for. And it's because at times some of the content I post are monologues. Even short monologues from classic movies or TV shows or maybe a video game or something like that. But I try it. I do a monologue, but I don't always just change my voice. Sometimes I think, okay, this character was American in this TV show, but I don't want to do what they did. How about if I deliver this monologue as me? Yeah, and stick to my voice. Yeah.
It makes it all the more authentic and personal to you as the actor, rather than trying to go the extra mile of being quite literally pretending to be someone that you're not, because then it makes it seem illusory. It doesn't make it seem real and grounded. And I appreciate that, because I can testify and say that I have myself had times where I'm like, I don't know, if I sound too much like myself when I'm giving a read, then people will be like, I'm not hearing the character, I'm hearing Spencer, and that takes me out of the moment. So I have had times where that part of my brain kind of kicks into high gear and I go into overthinking mode, and I'm like, and I'm trying to force something, and in the process, it sullies the read and it doesn't land well with audiences, where it sounds too. I'm trying to think of the right word here. It sounds fake to them, and
it just kind of sounds forced.
Yes,
almost like you're trying too hard or something. Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
I hear you.
Yeah. Where listeners are feeling like, okay, you're overacting in a bad way, where it's like, just let loose and it's okay to be yourself. So
Yeah.
I think that a lot of those who are watching, who are perhaps just starting out, or perhaps that they're struggling with that kind of mindset now and then too, it's a nice reminder from you, Chris, to know that it's okay to be ourselves. That being ourselves is not a bad thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. It is about just learning to embrace your natural voice. And I have to say that the student I've just started this with, because it's a one-to-one, and he has booked a block of 4 sessions, so hopefully it can create a habit for him. Well, we worked on a monologue as well, and he chose for me to actually have a monologue for him. So I found one. I didn't tell him what it's from or anything. He hadn't heard it before. I told him about the situation, and I got him to read it the first time, and just to give it a go. And I actually kind of noticed that his tone was suddenly different. Meaning that he had a little bit of a gravel. He sounded different, from himself. And so I had to kind of like trying to bring him back, and we went through it in chunks, basically. Finding the shifts, the emotional nuances. So by the end of the workshop, I actually got him to go all the way through. Again, don't think about it. After everything we've talked about, go all the way through. And he did it, and it was so much different from the first time. So I said to him, when you get this recording, I want you to listen to the first time you did the monologue and the last time, compare, and just let me know what you find. Yeah. So that's the way it's going to be. And so it's kind of like, even if you kind of chose like a very classic like short monologue, or like a long monologue, it's just about how to not like do too much at times, if you're doing something relaxed. Let's see. Name the movie. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Right. In a bit. But let me just try this. Something like I find I'm so excited I can barely sit still or hold a thought in my head. It's probably the feeling a free man feels. A free man at the start of a long journey whose conclusion is uncertain. I hope I can make it across the border. I hope I can see my friend and shake his hand. I hope the Pacific is as blue as it has been in my dreams. I hope. Any ideas?
I'm blanking, but the first thing that I wanted to say was like, is that the Shawshank Redemption?
Yeah, you go.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was trying to remember the line, so I flipped it a little bit, but yeah, that is the one. Yeah, there you go. You got it. Yeah.
That was because immediately for some reason I'm like, this is giving like very Morgan Freeman vibes,
Hmm.
and I was thinking carefully about the specific words that were used. I'm like,
Hmm.
sounds very Shawshank Redemption, but I was like, I didn't want. I was biting my tongue because I'm like, I don't want viewers to
No,
be
it's
like
okay.
in the comment section to be like, you should have known it was so. So it was such a
Yeah.
relief when you're like, yes, that was that was a beautiful performance, Chris. If I may, a
Oh,
round of
thank
applause
you.
from myself and those who are watching. Um,
Did you notice though
I
that
got
I just didn't
chills.
feel?
I
Oh,
got
did you?
chills.
Oh, thank you. Well,
I did. That was wonderful.
did you notice that I just didn't feel the need to do a Morgan Freeman impression? That I didn't feel the need to copy him. There's already a Morgan Freeman, in that moment. But how about if I was in that situation, if I was just contemplating, and if I just stay me, you know, and that's just, yeah, I just had to really sit comfortably in myself and make it personal and think, yeah. Mm.
Because especially that way when you replace Morgan Freeman with yourself in that scenario, and you sit in the moment and you think of the environment that you're currently in, how would you yourself react? It would obviously be different than how Morgan Freeman would interpret it. It would be different than how like Bruce Willis or Tom Hanks or any other actor would interpret it, because they're not you. You're
Mm-hmm.
you, and you interpret it and you handle it differently. And in doing so, it comes across much more personal, much more realistic, and authentic. And it struck a chord with me. As I said, I got chills hearing that. So it was it was powerful. You didn't need to put on a spectacle and change yourself wildly in order to take the audience into the world and be this famous actor that everyone is familiar with and they've seen the scene many times before.
Mm.
You were you, and you
Yeah,
made it original.
yeah. So and that's what. Thank you. Honestly, when I do monologues and things like that, that's the kind of thing that maybe I do for what I put on social media. Because if I decide that, hey, this classic bit here, this small monologue, from this TV show, what if I did it? As me, and I want to have a go at it. So I record it. I create a moment. Maybe I have music with it, maybe I don't. But here's the key: I don't keep it to myself. My creations, I do not keep it to myself. I put it online, and I show that I am still experimenting. I'm working on my craft constantly. At the same time, this is what I'm capable of. This is my progression, and yeah. And at times you just don't know who's watching. Maybe you're kind of encouraging some voice actors or some people getting into voice acting to do the same. Maybe it is somebody who is looking for the right person for a certain role, or or maybe someone sees it and they actually have an agency and they're kind of curious. Do they have representation? That's happened. As well. So yeah, just make yourself easier to be found in terms of being a voice actor. Yeah.
And stick out in the ocean of other voice actors and show your truest, brightest colors.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'm going to be also honest about one thing I wanted to bring
Sure.
up. Yeah. So in terms of the authentic voice, um, uh, I was toing and froing about whether to actually create this workshop, for quite a while,
Hmm.
because this student, he'd asked me a couple of times, and I don't really feel like I had any business, creating something like this, because of you know, I, I've been in the game for like a few years, um, but it takes some time to get traction, and even though I've done work, I uh, I kind of think about people I've trained under, and even one of the people that you and I have trained under, Angela Malhotra, as well. I always recommend her, and
She
so,
wonderful,
yeah,
wonderful, wonderful, talented woman, and a
mm,
great, great workshop that she has for everyone to partake
mm,
in and learn from. And
yeah,
a
she
judgment
works
free
her
zone
shits hard.
too. A judgment
Mm,
free zone. There's so many people from so many levels in that class, which is what
yeah,
I love most about the voice acting community. That there's no, I've been doing this longer and I know more. It's like, here, let me help you out. I
mm,
love the voiceover community. Everyone in it
it's
is
so good.
amazing.
It really is, so yeah, it's definitely a recommended workshop. You are right, Judgment Free Zone. She is incredible. People from different levels. And so what I do, I I really separate what I do from what she does. I make it clear, but at the same time, when people come in terms of was it voicing for animation or something like that, um, I give them some help, but I then refer them to Angela for really intensive training, for characters for animation and video games. And I've been doing that for a long time, and I will always do that. All my workshop teaches, aside from emotional nuances, it is literally how to not veer away from your own voice. And then the aim is that by the end, you will be more accepting of your own voice. The people, after a while in voice acting, they almost forget that at times you can actually use your natural voice for certain characters when you call for it. We always feel like we have to put something on all the time, but no, it's not the
Yes.
case. Yeah.
Yes. Again, that little overthinker in the back of our head of we sound too much like ourselves. We have to be somebody else.
Hmm.
It's a constant nagging presence that
Yeah.
can be quite defeating at times. So that's such a healthy reminder. So thank you for reminding all of us, Chris.
Ah, I need a reminder at times as well. I need to remind myself. Yeah, but yeah, I've gotten better. That's it. But yeah, what a journey though.
I, I'll say
It's-
now how far you've come, and now something that I didn't mention at the top was you've gotten so far to now you're a multi. I want to make sure I say this correctly. You're a multi-award nominated voice actor. It's
Yes, yes.
what an accomplishment. It's
Ugh,
and
thank you.
clearly for those who haven't seen Chris's work before, or you're familiar with him and you've studied under him too. When you watch any of his stuff, it's just you'll know immediately. It's like this gentleman. He knows what he's doing. He's having fun doing what he's doing, and it's
That's the important thing.
so you're spreading joy and knowledge at the same time, Chris. It's
Mm.
amazing.
It's a pleasure to do that. It is important to have fun with what you do. Um, that's one of the other things that's great about making videos like this as well that I've been describing. Um, because most of what we do as voice actors is audition and trying to get the jobs, and occasionally we get the odd job here and there. Um, but yeah, so sometimes we do have moments where we feel a bit down because when you don't get something, you just don't hear back. Um, but yeah, creating these videos, you find that it's just so thrilling at times. Just doing these monologues or study, and it's yeah, you're keeping your passion alive in it. It's just fantastic, and so that's why I keep doing them. It's vital. It keeps me going. And yeah, it keeps the energy going. Hmm.
I love it. I love it.
Oh, and but yeah, from what you said earlier, by the way, I completely forgot. Yeah, sorry. The nominations. Uh, so both of those nominations were separate years. So there was a nomination last year for best overall performance as well. Uh,
For one
yes,
voice, correct? It was
Yeah,
the
yeah. So that was
2024
One
One Voice.
Voice. Yeah, yeah. So that's the biggest. One Voice is the biggest voiceover conference in the UK, hosted by Gravy for the Brain. Are incredible, and at the start of this year, I was quite overwhelmed because not only did they invite me to be a presenter there, to talk about social media, but I got nominated again. Yeah, as well. So this was going to be my first time going
Yay!
to the conference, in the UK, and actually presenting and actually attending an award ceremony where for the first time I'm nominated. So that is happening next week.
How exciting! I I
Uh,
wish you all the I wish you all the very best, Chris. I wish you all the very best. I hope you have a great time while you're there too, and you
hmm.
run into a lot of familiar faces while you're there to make some
Yeah.
incredible memories together.
Yeah, yeah, a few of my very close friends in particular, we're finally meeting in person. It's just going to mean so much. I'm going to
Yay!
meet one of my agents for the first time, because I'm represented by a number of agents, but one of the biggest ones I have in the UK, at Voice Fox. Yeah, I get to meet her. She's presenting as well, and it's just going to be a very enthralling few days. It's going to be fantastic. Yeah. Mm.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
On top of all of voice acting that you do, some other things that that I've learned about you in the past is that on top of voice acting, you love to cook. You've done dancing in the past and travel. And as you mentioned before, you used to do close-up magic, which is pretty cool.
Yes.
And I've seen you perform some tricks for me and some of the classes that I've been in the past,
Mm.
and that was delightful.
I was in one of
Um,
your live streams, I remember as well, I think. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm sure it was.
yes,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
it it was the yes, it was on the TikTok live. Did you do it at the
Yes.
impression workshop or was it just the TikTok live?
I think it was just a TikTok live. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I remember I
okay,
did that. Yeah. Mm. Yeah, it was
that
good fun.
was yeah. How did is there anything in particular? Because quite a few things. Let's see: the cooking, dancing, traveling, close-up magic. Anything in particular that you want to further expound upon?
Oh my goodness. Well, yeah, going through them anyway. I mean, the cooking, my yeah, I've always enjoyed cooking because I even before I got together with my partner, Kirsty, I lived by myself, and I enjoyed cooking even when I had friends around, just hosting and things like that, and yeah, just expanded upon recipes and things like that. And I think within the past, I don't know how many months now, maybe the past 3 months, we've started getting this delivery service. It's like a box of different vegan meals where you get the all of the ingredients and all of the recipes, everything you need, fresh from like a farm, like that. And yeah,
Cool.
because it's nice to mix it up, so quite often we can actually try just having vegan meals, as well. And we're not vegan, by the way, but we're just trying to look after our health, and
Sure.
mix it up a bit. And and because of the hours that Kirsty works, she does work from home, and uh, I basically do quite a bit of the cooking, for most of the week, and it's been nice actually, just kind of prepping one of these new meals that I've never made before, and so yeah, I just love doing it and just getting it right and everything, and yeah, in the past. I have traveled quite a bit, like long haul, just really experiencing other places. Um, I think the last time I went to the US was New York as well. One of my favorite places I've been is Bali as
The
well. I've been there
the Big
twice.
Apple. Were
Yeah.
were you at the Big Apple in New York?
Oh yeah, yeah, the Big Apple, yeah,
Okay.
New
Yeah,
York,
the
yeah,
Big
New
Apple.
York, yeah, that's the one, yeah. But in the US, I've been to New York, San Francisco, and LA. Um, and yeah, Bali in Indonesia is just a very special place. It's just wonderful. I've been there twice. Just
Wow.
yeah, like even by my friend there or something. Um, and that was like years ago. But also with close-up magic, can you believe that? Because I've in the past when I used to do it on the side, like professionally, I actually was hired to not just perform at bars and nightclubs, different events, but also a heck of a lot of weddings and
Seriously.
birthday parties. Yeah, so many weddings, and those were always nice, just getting suited up and going to one of those, and yeah, and
Was
just entertaining people.
was it friends and family specifically, or did like everyone be
No,
like, "Hey, I know of this great close-up magician that we got to get him to come to our wedding."
yeah, it usually happened word of mouth,
Oh,
like maybe a friend of a friend, and you usually kind of going out into like a big room full of complete strangers. And disarming them basically, because these days people are very cynical when it comes to magic and things like that, especially well adults anyway. This is mainly for adults, and so yeah, it's just kind of showing them it's supposed to be fun. Adults usually uh, kind of how can I say it? Uh, a
they
lot
like
of
to
adults
heckle.
these days.
They like to
No, I wouldn't
heckle.
say heckle, but they kind of a lot of them like to feel that they understand everything there is, that they have a hold on it, that they can figure things out, and then what I do suddenly surprises them. They get into the fun of it. One or two of them, they maybe don't like to feel tricked, or something. But I've had many incredible experiences doing magic, and connecting with people. But one of the memorable times was actually being hired by a bride and groom to perform at the wedding in Sicily.
Oh wow.
So that meant
How
that I would be
beautiful.
in Sicily for a long weekend. Where I said, to be honest, I've never been paid to perform close-up magic at a wedding abroad before. So, yeah, and I discussed it with one or two people, and I said, so in terms of what I would charge for this, I would say just as long as you cover the flights and the B&B, yeah, the bed and breakfast, and that's what they did. So I was there
How
for a long
nice.
weekend, and I had time to explore by myself. It was just a very secluded town, hardly any tourists. I freaking loved it. And I was performing magic not just for other British guests, but Sicilian guests as well. Some of them couldn't speak English, and I loved that, having that language barrier, because performing close-up magic at times without speaking, it breaks barriers. It breaks language barriers. Yeah,
It's
and I
it's
will never
something.
forget that. Mm,
It's a universal language, so to speak. There's
mm.
no words that are necessarily involved, maybe for context, but overall for the visual amazement, visual wonder of it all, it's just quite that. It's just using your eyes and watching.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it transcends any and all, as you said, language barriers.
Yeah, yeah. I
There,
mean, the
that's the
way you
real
kind of do
magic.
that. There
That's
you
the real
go.
magic.
Yeah, that's the magic right there. Sometimes you find that even in expressiveness when you're performing magic to somebody who is either hard of hearing or can't speak the same language, and you've got that language barrier. Sometimes you kind of have to harness your inner Chaplin, I'd say. Your inner Charlie Chaplin. That's what I love to say. Um, but yeah, I've had unexpectedly emotional experiences, through doing close-up magic, and because there have been incredible happy moments, but then I still remember one moment that really stuck with me was that I was invited um, by a company, like an organization, to yeah, possibly give my services for free for a couple, and I think the um, the bride had something. I can't remember the name of it, but she had an issue with her lungs.
Mm.
Yeah, she was really ill. And for people who are going through hard times like that, they organize weddings, for them, like free of charge, where they get certain people to give the service. And so, um, yeah, I was told that the bride was a young lady who really needed a lung transplant, yeah, of all
Mm.
things. And I remember, I was going through a difficult time, as well, like leading up to it because I lost a friend that I was used to seeing every week. And when it came to attending the wedding and knowing that I've got to get out of that brain fog, I got to really use this, for making all the guests happy and making this what was it, this wedding memorable, as well. I remember I met the organizer there at the side, and the organizer then told me that apparently this bride wasn't a good candidate for a lung transplant. So for her,
Mm.
it was only a matter of time. Yeah, and
Oh
then
my
I kind of had
goodness.
to sort of mentally deal with that. And then, but then I remember just saying to myself, "You're gonna make this like really good for them." Then, now the focus is to create incredible memories, help create incredible memories. And so at times, I actually sat with the bride and groom aside from just doing stuff for the guests. And I remember she was toing and froing with like her breathing apparatus that she had there, as well. But they were such a sweet young couple, as well. It was probably the best, like I would say, first dance I've ever seen, and I had seen like
Oh.
hundreds upon hundreds of them, as well. Um, but yeah, you have unexpected emotional moments, unexpected connections with people, as well. And even when you go to one of these gigs and you're not feeling the best, you're not feeling in the right state of mind because, of different things may be happening in your life in the moment, then suddenly you go to a gig and they really cheer you up. There's something about these people, that are the most welcoming people, or they make you laugh, or something like that. You're exchanging hugs, you know. Yeah, so I do remember that, but I think the magic, doing magic ended up fizzling out in the end. I think it was maybe during lockdown because, like certain things, the novelty was kind of wearing off. And even though I had wonderful experiences, there were times where I wouldn't really miss going out on a Friday night or something, or I wasn't missing certain aspects of working with the public, and I will just leave it at that. Yeah.
I get you 100%. And
Mm.
that's I really appreciate you sharing that story, Chris, because I personally have never heard that one before, and I just know that on top of bringing you here to talk about because you're accomplished in doing voice acting these days, but it's also was a wonderful story to hear how something as simple as close-up magic really helped people and really affected their lives in a positive way, and how many people you affected when performing doing close-up magic, just because that's the whole purpose of this podcast is to have people share stories of all kinds during their walk of life
Mm.
and experiences that they've had, things that they've learned, and what they want to pass along to those who are watching. So, thank you so much for going into that. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
No problem. And I don't know if you got time, but you've actually made me think of something.
By
Yeah,
all
to share.
means, by all
Because
means.
I think it's kind of relates to my attitude towards a certain subject, like for instance trolls, and this is like through real life experience beforehand during the close of magic days, and this is to help people who I guess struggle with that, like it being online and having people say nasty things to them and figuring out how to deal with that and everything. Um, well, it is natural for people to get standoffish when someone says something nasty to you, even online, like keyboard warriors, and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to give you just this one experience during Close of Magic, and um, there was a gig I was performing at. I was part of a festival, like in a village, and so I was performing at about two different places, on the same night, like different venues. I had to go from one to another, and the next venue I went to and I parked up at, and it was on the list. It was actually an Italian restaurant, and so I went in, went upstairs, and they were there was a small band playing, and they were just kind of finishing up, and so it looked like I was going to be up next, and this was like a very different thing. It wasn't necessarily a stage or anything, It was literally like different people, like at this restaurant, different tables there, and some people having their dinner. I was thinking, okay, right, so if I'm going to kind of perform, I'm going to have to really talk loud. I'm going to have to go through and everything. And the waitress, one of the waitresses, was so sweet. She gave me a glass of wine when I arrived, and everything. And when the band finished, I went around, performed for everybody as a whole. I got everybody's attention, and they all kind of were in this together, I guess. And it was so much fun, and wonderful, heartwarming. The waitresses were watching, from the bar area because this was like all upstairs. And I still remember it was coming towards the end of the act, and I had one more effect to do, and it was like a closer. I decided, hey, I'll do this cup and ball routine. It's something that still my dad doesn't know how I do it, and I'll tell that story. So I was about to start performing it, and then suddenly somebody from the back of the room just starts shouting, and it was this elderly man, this very strong Italian accent, and everyone was confused. And I said, "Sorry, sir, what was that?" And he said, "I'm sorry, you're going to have to stop. When I agreed to have my venue as part of his festival, I just thought there was just going to be music, playing and live music here and there. Nobody said anything about magic. I just do not want it in my restaurant. You need to stop." Yeah, and
Mm.
and then the audience members were looking at each other, and someone even said, "I- "Is he being serious?" Like that. They were saying to each other, and and then they started chiming in, just saying, that what are you really being serious? Like, and he said that, well, no, it's nothing against him. I'm just a very religious man. I do not want it in my restaurant. You need to
Mm.
stop now, like that, and and so now people are getting angry with him, and different customers, and they're saying it actually says on the list there, magician, magic grace, like that, and they're saying things like, you don't want our customers to be happy. We've been enjoying it, and someone then ended up insinuating and shouting at him, saying that he's racist, like that, making a race thing, and and now I'm in the middle of everyone and I'm trying to calm everyone down because I just needed to check something. I need to say something. So I got everybody to stop for a moment and calm down. And I said to him, well, sir, I've just been performing here for the past 45 minutes. I'm literally at the end of my act and I was just going to perform one thing. I was just going to perform this one thing and then I'm going to leave. And so would you allow me to do that? Um, and then he said, no, I'm sorry. You're just going to have to stop. And so I literally said, no problem, then I'll leave. That's okay. And then somebody at the side said, if he leaves, we're all going to leave. You know that, right? And then he said,
Wow.
that's fine, as long as you pay the bill. You know what? Every single person in that restaurant stood up. And in a line, they all came to me to shake my hand and to thank
Wow.
me for the performance, and asking me if I was going to be performing somewhere the next night, and really appreciating me. And he even said, "I'm not going to come back here." Into this restaurant. They were saying things like that to me, and then they were making their way out. Some of them actually didn't pay the bill,
Oh
um,
goodness.
and um, the guy was kind of sat down now near the bar, and I had to kind of coach somebody away from him, just for a moment, just so I could, uh, yeah, talk to him just briefly before leaving. And he was trying to defend himself and try to convince me that he wasn't racist. I didn't think it was a race thing. I didn't feel honestly it was a race thing. You know, I honestly believe that he was a very religious man, and he was very traditional, and he was sticking to whatever beliefs he had, like that. He went the wrong way about it, but I truly believe that's what it was. So I said, I calmed him down, and I said, "Sir, let me just say this. Please just hear me out, okay? Now, the only reason I'm leaving is because I'm under your roof, okay? So I'm doing this out of respect for you." But in all honesty, you really should have looked at the list instead of just leaving it to your waitresses, like that. And with that, I just shook his hand, like that. And then I turned. The waitresses even said to me in a very embarrassed way, "I am so sorry," like that. And yeah, I said, "No, it's okay. It's all right. It happens." Even his whole family came to me and apologized because they were so disappointed in him. And and you know what? I was really overwhelmed by the support of everyone. And here's the thing: if you translate that to keyboard warriors, online, if you just kind of like keep your cool, okay, and stay just nestled in who you are, don't start to get aggressive and standoffish back, like that. You basically have a leg to stand on. You most likely win over the crowd that oversees everything, and you just watch that person bury themselves. You show them nothing but kindness and respect back. You know, that's usually the way I do it. We don't know where the other person's deal and what they're going through.
Exactly.
It's not saying that what they're doing is right. Just don't, lower yourself in that moment. Yeah, but that's what I've learned. Yeah.
It's great words of advice, and another wonderful story of I must say that I really love how everyone, total strangers, like I don't want to say came to your aid because that's not technically the term, but they were supported you and stood behind you and basically said, "Listen, this is unfair. This isn't this we're not gonna if you're gonna be unfair to this gentleman, then we'll take our business elsewhere." It's pretty amazing how total strangers came together in support and got that and came behind you to your defense.
Mm.
I'm
Unexpected, unbelievably emotional. I
mm,
still remember that night, after that reaction from everybody, complete strangers, nearly being in tears because I was so moved. Yeah,
oh,
incredible. Yeah.
it is unfortunate that you didn't get to finish the set because, as you said, you are on the final trick of your set, which is quite unfortunate because the big closer, the grand finale, and even more strange. And it's not to be answered, but something that I've thought of is like, where was this gentleman like for the entire set? Like, you just suddenly came out of the woodwork. Like, it just seems a little interesting. But all
Yeah,
the
he
same,
just handed everything over to his waitresses. He didn't want to deal with it. He
mm,
wasn't really bothered about it. He said, "Yeah, sure." Yeah, he didn't even look at the list.
mm.
So
But there are great people out in this world. People who
absolutely.
will support you and there'll always be that naysayer out there who'll try and dull your flame and snuff out your spark. But
Mm,
everyone else, there's so many more people who want to see you try and want to see what you're capable of and try new things and share with them and be yourself, and people shouldn't be afraid to be reclusive and hide away and be like, "Oh, well, I'm afraid I'll get judged for this thing that I do." And other people may say things like, other
mm.
people are going to say things all the time.
You can't please
That's
everyone.
no, unfortunately, you can't make everyone happy in this life. As much as we'd
Mm,
like to, we can't. We should just most importantly, we should be happy with ourselves that we challenged ourselves and we tried doing this thing and going to new places and meeting new people
mhm.
because
Absolutely.
you don't know what opportunities may open up. As many people were like, "Are you going to be performing elsewhere? Because this is a great set." And
Yeah.
I hope that you did see some of those people at other venues that you performed at.
A couple of them were friends of mine that I saw
Huh.
occasionally, but yeah, sadly, I don't think they really got to see that final effect. But I cut my losses with that. It was okay, but um, yeah, it was just quite a memorable encounter. That's what I would say, and it was a very strong reminder to me that there are still really good people in this world. You really get like unexpected reminders, like that come out of nowhere. It's like, wow. So when you do come across those people, don't overlook them, Yeah, that's why I appreciate just genuinely good people like you, Spencer, as well, and
Thank
who
you.
have this like a zest for what you do and for life, and yeah, it's infectious. Yeah,
Thank you. Spreading smiles however I can.
love it, love it.
To kind of wrap things down, because a lot of the questions that I had on here, as I mentioned before, naturally we brought them up just naturally. We talked about them, and that just shows how much fun that the two of us were having in today's
Yeah,
episode. Just such a lighthearted banter between friends, and I love that.
yeah,
So,
it's been fun. It's like okay, it's like what do you think of pineapple pizza? No, we don't need that now. It's just like
I will not be judging you, but I will be taking notes steadily in the background.
oh, we're
Now,
not
what's
going
your
to go into
opinion on
that
that?
subject. I will be judged.
Pineapple pizza. With the comment section. If it were by for me not being able to recognize Shawshank Redemption earlier, then pineapple
Mm.
pizza in the comment section that would instead take the floor and be like, uh oh, they dissed my pineapple pizza, man.
Love it.
So, in that case, let's kind of wrap things up for the evening and
Okay.
go over the basics and the important stuff. Number one that I have for you is, as a voice actor, who would you say are your biggest inspirations?
Hmm. Well, well, let's see. I take inspiration from a lot of people, but I would always say one of the main inspirations for me is Robin Williams. As an actor, voice actor, just a general human being. He's somebody like many people. I just grew up with him, just on the screen, and even when I look at his work today, it still makes me feel things, in different ways. I was always inspired by his level of dexterity in voice and emotionally. He always still to this day um, makes me laugh with the quirky quips and the characters that he kind of comes up with, that he just invents just on the fly. His crazy, like computer generated mind. Kind of feels like. But then, but then it's like when I see a heartfelt um, performance by him. Um, I am just unbelievably moved, and my heart is just swelling, just thinking, just having Robin Williams just say to you, "Good luck, son." You know, like the
Yes.
Goodwill Hunting character, and just just being in the room and just having him say those words to you, and if you could be in Will's shoes, and just what that would feel like, and yeah, I don't know, it always gets me today. Yeah. So he always really inspired me, and to kind of keep pushing and experimenting. Yeah.
I love it. And what a great inspiration to have, just because he was so outgoing, so humorous and charismatic, and very sassy at times. I watched some of his old stand-up performances not that long ago, so it's funny that he's coming up again, just because he it was infectious, just how he was able to just have fun and be himself,
Mm.
and also that shift of in the how he was able to do both that and be incredibly humorous, and his ad libs and improving in movies, animated and live action,
Mm,
to um, the really emotional and grounded movies that he did as well. How he's able to be both at the same time. It's still him,
yeah.
and he's able to do both. Like
Mm.
Goodwill Hunting is a great one, and I can't think of the name of it, but you know what's the name of that movie where he's talking to that older gentleman and he's like, "How many fingers am I holding up?" And he's
Patch
like, "Four."
Adams.
Patch Adams,
I'm a
yes.
movie geek.
And I just because I remember seeing that clip and I watched it in full, and it was such a great, that scene in particular really stuck out to me, just
Mm,
because don't focus on the problem, look beyond, where
mm.
it's not just four fingers, you'll see eight fingers, where it was
Yeah.
it was
Look
really,
through the
wow.
problem to find a solution. Yeah.
It
Mm,
was, what a great movie, and Robin Williams did a spectacular job there too.
absolutely. Yeah, he really did. There was um, I I actually saw like this interview, and I think it's Sean Levi, a director who's worked on wonderful movies, and he actually, um, yeah, he actually, I saw one time online. He was shown a an image from inside a Natural History Museum in London. Yeah, because I think it was after the night at the museum free that they did, just released at the time. He said, "Oh yeah, I remember that, because we were in London, at the time." And he says, there's one thing that I haven't really told anybody else, but uh, I was walking up and down that area, like the halls with Robin Williams, and I was giving him some notes, and then he would then just suddenly sort of say to me, "Hey, boss, look at what we get to do." And he thought, wow, because even somebody with his experience and his success, he was still taking a moment to appreciate and marvel in this incredible thing that he still was getting to do, as an artist, as a actor, as a creator. So he's somebody who always counted his blessings, and he still marveled at it, and he was still taken by it, and that still means something. Yeah, to me when I came across that. Mm.
It's a great mentality to have, and a great lesson to keep with you always, to enjoy life, to
Mm.
enjoy the things and the people around you, and how special it is.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
I could see a lot of Robin Williams and his the way that he viewed life. I could definitely see it in how you go about life and how you teach others and you perform. So
Mm.
it's, I see the connection for sure.
I feel like I'm getting his echoes now. Like, yeah, you mentioned that. So if you do see that, that's yeah, it's showing his influence, I would say. Yeah.
What are some words of advice that you would like to pass along to those who are watching?
Hmm. I would say really work on yourself. As a person, learn to really accept yourself. And I know this is cliche, um, because if you don't, I mean, we all have insecurities, but if we don't really work on ourselves, we'll end up just constantly wearing our insecurities on our sleeves, like that. It'll start to affect the finer things in life. It could, be a danger to us, like keeping us from progressing, to where we want to be. Um, so first and foremost, just work on yourself, and yeah, um, just really try to be the best version of yourself, that you can be, and if nothing else, just try to inspire others to do the same. Not necessarily telling them what to do, but just inspire by your actions, I would say. and the way you treat others be an inspiration in terms of that. And that's what I would say.
Wonderful, wonderful words to keep in mind, to take to heart, and to carry with you. Make sure I always tell my viewers every time, make sure you grab a notebook, pen or pencil, and make sure you jot some of this stuff down. If you haven't been already, make sure you jot that down because that's probably one of the biggest takeaways from this evening's podcast episode.
Fantastic.
And last but certainly not least, because we've reached the very end, Chris, and I'm so sad because I've been having such a great time chatting with you tonight. Where can people find you in your work? Where can they find you, and across what platforms, and what's your tags and your socials, and give us the details. I'm sure everyone is dying. They're like, where can we find more of this gentleman? Where can we see his craft and all the wonderful work he produces on a daily basis?
I'm on a lot of platforms. You can go to my website, which is chriswoodworthvo.com. And my work there, and more information about me, my studio, and also my social media links like YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all that good stuff, just linked there. So chriswoodworthvo.com.
You heard him, ladies and gentlemen. So go right now. Go type it into your URL and find everything. Yes, type away at the keyboard. And also something that I would like to say is, on Chris's behalf, is be sure you keep an eye out for any and all of his classes that he has openings for, because I see him all the time, because of course I follow Chris, but he is always posting about upcoming openings, so mark them on your calendars, and I would recommend that you look into at least one, if not two, and three, if you want to be overachieving, of the courses that he has available, because you will learn a lot, and you'll be in great hands with Chris.
Oh, thank you. And we're going to have fun doing so. And thank you, Spencer, for, this is definitely one of the most fun podcasts I've been on. It's been fantastic and always a pleasure talking to you. So thank you for having me.
I wanted to say, because I forgot to mention it before, congratulations on getting cast in Hounded.
Oh, yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, they found me, which was wonderful. Yeah, so that's those of you who don't know, that's a video game. The main character is a dog going through a dystopian world, yeah, which is like the British Isles, and I was cast as a very seedy, sadistic dictator that you never really see, but you hear his voice come out of a speaker. He's probably around 60, 65 years old. I had to harness my Winston Churchill a little bit. It was very different, and I absolutely loved it. Yes. Look up Hounded the game on TikTok and Instagram, places like that, and you'll see the development and how the wonderful job they're doing. And they have a clip as well from that. Yeah.
Oh,
from,
yes.
Featuring that character.
On your channel, you have you did share the your an excerpt from the game and the script, and
and the recording
it was
session.
Marvelous.
Yeah,
it was marvelous. And for everyone who wants to follow the development, because I've seen some snippets of gameplay as well, and if you love dogs, you'll probably really love this game. If it's similar to how Friends loved the game Stray, for all the cat lovers out there, Hounded is for the dog lovers out there. And graphics look amazing and looks like a very exciting game. So go follow Imprint Studios on their socials, because they're the developers behind the game, and get all the latest, and you'll see when it's coming out, and you'll see Chris. Chris will be there.
Yeah, it's I think it's like spelled like IMPRNT Studios, like Imprint. Yeah, in a weird way. But yeah, they're fantastic. Wonderful people. I loved working with them, and they really do have such an incredible moving game coming out, and so do check it out. Yeah,
absolutely. Wow. That's just going to about do it for us tonight, everybody. So thank you so much for coming back and tuning into Are You Saurious? Episode 9 with the incredibly talented and multi-award nominated voice actor, Chris Woodworth. Everyone, round of applause. Round of applause for Chris.
This was seriously good.
A round of applause. This is so much fun, Chris, and I know that viewers will love your stories and your insight on the multitude of things that we talked about tonight, because I know that I did immensely, and I'm so honored that you got to join us for this episode.
You know what? The honor's all mine. Thank you so much again for inviting me. I've enjoyed this time together. So, yeah, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Until next time, everybody, have a terrific night. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.